Ever feel like you're stuck? I mean, really stuck.
Yeah.
Like no matter what you do, you just can't escape the tough situation.
Oh, yeah.
Well, that's kind of what we're looking at today. In Exodus chapter 6,
Mm.
where the Israelites are, slaves in Egypt, no way out in sight.
Right.
But in all that despair,
Mm.
there's this glimmer of hope.
Mm.
It's a story of faith, perseverance,
Mm.
a promise that, well, it just echoes through time.
What gets me about this chapter is that it's not just their struggle.
Right.
It shows us something deep about hope itself, even in the darkest times, a promise. It can be like a lifeline.
Yeah.
Leading us to a better future.
So, okay, we're in Exodus chapter 6, Israelites suffering under Pharaoh.
Mm-hmm.
Then God speaks to Moses, reaffirming his promise to free them.
Right.
What makes this so powerful is that God reveals his name as Jehovah.
This is huge in the story.
Oh, yeah.
The name Jehovah. It means a deeper connection with God than they'd ever known.
Okay.
A covenant. A bond between God and his people.
Uh-huh.
And it's not just for them. It goes back to Abraham, Isaac, Jacob, their ancestors.
So that's where this idea of generational promises comes in.
Exactly.
It's not just right now.
Yeah.
It's about something that lasts way beyond our own lives.
God's commitment to his people. It's unwavering, even across generations.
Wow.
Makes you think our actions, our values, the promises we make, they have this ripple effect that goes on and on.
So God tells Moses, go to Pharaoh, demand their release.
Mm-hmm.
But Pharaoh, well, he's not exactly open to the idea.
No surprise there.
And to make it worse, the Israelites themselves, they're so beaten down they doubt Moses.
Wow.
Imagine that, being promised freedom after generations of oppression, and you still can't believe it.
It's so human, though, isn't it?
Yeah.
That's despair for you, clouds your vision. Makes it hard to even see a better future.
It's like hope is right there, but you can't grab it.
When you're in that much pain, it's hard.
Makes you think, how do you even help someone in that state?
It takes a lot of compassion.
Yeah, understanding.
You can't force hope on someone. You gotta be there for them. Listen, offer support where you can. Sometimes just acknowledging their pain, that's a powerful first step.
Okay, now let's talk about Moses for a minute. Chosen to lead them to freedom.
Yeah.
But he's got serious self-doubt. I mean, who hasn't felt inadequate at some point?
Moses is so relatable.
Oh, yeah.
He worries about speaking to Pharaoh, feels totally out of his depth.
Right.
It's like imposter syndrome, questioning himself even though God chose him for this.
Looking at this huge responsibility and
Exactly.
thinking, is this really for me?
Exactly. But here's the beautiful part. God doesn't leave him hanging in that doubt.
Oh,
God reassures him, promises to be with him every step of the way. It's like a higher purpose gives us the power to get past that self-doubt and move forward with confidence, even when we feel totally unqualified.
like a divine pep talk,
Exactly.
reminding him he's not alone.
And it's not just about Moses. This is for anyone who's ever felt underestimated, overlooked,
Yeah,
not good enough.
yeah.
God doesn't always choose the most polished people. He sees potential where we see limitations.
Such a powerful message, especially in a world that's all about appearances and quick fixes.
Right.
Reminds us that our potential might be hidden, just waiting to be awakened
Yeah.
by something bigger than ourselves.
Sometimes all it takes is a little faith and stepping outside our comfort zones.
So true. Now this brings us to leadership.
Oh, yeah. Moses' reluctance to lead is actually a huge lesson in leadership itself. Oh, yeah. Moses' reluctance to lead is actually a huge lesson in leadership itself. It's not about being super charismatic or eloquent.
Right.
It's about faithfulness, integrity, commitment to something bigger, even when things get tough.
That's refreshing.
Yeah.
Especially now when we think leadership is all about confidence and being a go-getter.
Yeah. Exodus chapter 6 shows us that real leadership, it can come from unexpected places, even from moments of self-doubt.
God sticking with Moses, even with all his fears and insecurities.
Right. It shows that leadership is about showing up as you are,
Mm-hmm.
imperfections, and staying committed even when it feels overwhelming.
So it's not about having all the answers or looking perfect. It's about trusting in something bigger, embracing our flaws,
Yeah.
and just keeping on going.
And that brings us back to divine timing and patience.
Okay.
God reaffirms his plan to Moses, reminding us that things don't always happen on our schedule.
This is so interesting to me. We're obsessed with instant gratification now.
Totally.
We want everything right away. Success results, fulfillment. But Exodus chapter 6, it's like a challenge to slow down, to be patient, to trust, to surrender to a timeline we might not understand.
It's like planting a seed.
Oh, yeah.
You can't make it sprout overnight.
Right.
You got to nurture it, Give it the right conditions, let it grow at its own pace.
That applies to so much in our lives.
Oh, absolutely. Relationships, careers, personal growth.
Yeah.
It's about trusting the process.
Even when it feels slow or uncertain.
Even then.
This makes me think about the Israelites and how they didn't believe Moses at first.
Oh,
They'd
yeah.
been through so much hardship. Freedom must have seemed impossible.
It's heartbreaking, isn't it?
It is.
Shows how deep pain and suffering can make it hard to imagine anything better. Sometimes when you're stuck in that cycle, hope itself can feel like a burden.
Like a reminder of what's missing.
Exactly.
It must take so much compassion to help someone in that place.
It's not about downplaying their pain or offering easy solutions.
No.
It's about being there with them, listening with empathy, helping where you can. Sometimes just acknowledging their pain is enough.
Back to Moses and his self-doubt.
Yeah.
He didn't think he could speak to Pharaoh.
But God saw something in him that he couldn't see himself. That's something we all need to remember. We often underestimate our own potential.
Especially when we focus on our flaws.
Yeah, instead of dwelling on what we lack, we should focus on our strengths, our purpose, what we bring to the table.
It's like God chose Moses on purpose. The guy who stuttered and doubted himself.
Right. Powerful message for anyone who's ever felt inadequate or overlooked.
So our potential is just waiting to be awakened by something bigger than ourselves.
Sometimes all it takes is a little faith and a willingness to get out of our comfort zone.
So much to unpack here, from generational promises to patience, compassion overcoming self-doubt. How do we apply these lessons from Exodus chapter 6 to our lives today?
I think it comes down to this. I think it comes down to this trust, perseverance, and that connection to something bigger than ourselves, whether it's faith values or a commitment to a cause. Those are powerful forces when life gets tough.
Like a roadmap for obstacles. We need trust to keep going when things are hard. Perseverance to remember that setbacks are just part of the journey, and that connection to something bigger to remind us we're not alone.
Exactly. And what's amazing is that these lessons, they're timeless. They spoke to the Israelites all those years ago, and they still speak to us today as we face our own challenges.
It makes you think, what's one area in your life where you need to trust a little more? Maybe a goal you've been putting off, a relationship that needs attention, or even a dream that feels impossible.
That's a good question for all of us. Where do we need to trust the process, even when we don't have all the answers or see results right away?
This has been incredible. I don't know about you, but I'm feeling inspired to face whatever comes next, knowing that even when things are uncertain, there's power in hope, perseverance, and believing in something bigger than ourselves.
Thanks for joining us on this deep dive. Keep exploring, keep questioning, and keep looking for those bits of wisdom that can light your way.